There comes a point in life when someone who has avoided responsibility, avoided commitment, avoided facing the truth, suddenly realizes that you're no longer waiting for them. You've healed, you've grown, and you've stepped into a new chapter of your life. That's when desperation sets in. They pull a final move, not because they've changed, but because they feel the weight of losing the power they once held over your heart. And it is in that moment that you must see clearly. Desperation is not transformation. A frantic attempt to pull you back is not the same as someone doing the hard work of growth, accountability, and love. You've walked through the fire to get to this place, and you can't let a last-minute scramble shake the foundation you've built. The temptation will be strong to believe their sudden promises, their grand gestures, their emotional pleas. But remember this. If they were truly capable of showing up for you, they would have done it when you needed them, not when you were gone. Your worth does not rise and fall based on someone's delayed realization. Your peace is not something you should gamble with out of sympathy or nostalgia. You are not responsible for carrying the weight of someone else's fears, regrets, or missed opportunities. You've chosen to move forward for a reason. Stand strong. Hold on to the growth you've fought for. Let their final desperate move remind you, not of what you lost, but of how far you've come. Because when you know your value, you don't go back to the things that broke you. You keep walking toward the life, the love, and the future that you deserve. By Mel Robbins. When someone suddenly realizes you're no longer waiting for them, their behavior can shift in dramatic and surprising ways. They may reach out with urgency, send long messages, make emotional confessions, or even show up in ways they never did before. To the unprepared heart, this can feel like a long-awaited breakthrough, a sign that maybe, finally, they have changed. But here is the truth you must hold close to your heart. Desperation is not the same as transformation. A person acting from fear of losing you is not the same as a person who has done the inner work to become ready, consistent, and steady in their love for you. Desperation is reactive. It's sparked by the sudden realization that something they thought would always be there is now slipping away. It is the panic of losing control, the terror of missing out on something valuable they never nurtured when they had the chance. But transformation is different. Transformation is intentional. Transformation takes time. It requires humility, accountability, and effort that stretches far beyond one dramatic attempt to win you back. Transformation is proven not in words spoken during a moment of crisis, but in consistent actions lived out over time. Many people confuse these two. They see someone suddenly crying, begging, promising, and think finally, they get it. They mistake urgency for maturity, emotion for change, and words for evidence. But the test of real transformation is never found in a desperate moment. It is found in the quiet, steady commitment to live differently long after the drama fades. When someone is desperate, they want relief from their discomfort. When someone is transformed, they want growth, responsibility, and a lasting change that blesses both themselves and the relationship. Think about it this way: when a person is desperate, they are motivated by fear. Fear of being alone, fear of losing access to your love. Fear of missing out on the comfort they once took for granted. Fear is powerful, but it's shallow. Fear can make someone chase you, but it cannot make them stay consistent when the fear subsides. Once they believe they've regained your attention, their sense of urgency disappears. The same old patterns return. But when a person is transformed, they are motivated by love, love for themselves, love for growth, love for you. Love doesn't just beg for a second chance. Love puts in the work to earn trust again. Love doesn't just apologize, it demonstrates change with patience and persistence. And this is where you must be careful. Because your heart has waited, hoped, maybe even prayed that one day this person would wake up and see your value. So when they finally act like they see it, the temptation is overwhelming to believe it's real. Your heart whispers, "This is the moment I've been waiting for." But you cannot let your desire for their transformation blind you to the reality of their desperation. If they truly valued you, that recognition would not come only when you walked away. True love shows itself in presence, not absence. In consistency, not panic. In building with you, not scrambling to stop you from leaving. This is why desperation cannot be mistaken for transformation. One comes from fear, the other from growth. One is about keeping you for their comfort, the other is about becoming worthy of you through effort. One burns fast and fades quickly, the other is steady, quiet, and proven through time. You must learn to pause, observe, and give yourself space before responding to someone's desperate move. Because if you jump too quickly, you might hand your heart back to someone who hasn't actually changed. Think about your own journey. You didn't come to this place of strength overnight. You didn't suddenly wake up healed, confident, and free. You went through the fire. You endured tears, late nights, heartbreak, and moments where you doubted yourself. You made choices to let go, to rise, to rebuild your life piece by piece. That's transformation. It wasn't instant, it wasn't desperate, and it wasn't shallow. It was deep, hard, and real. So why would you accept less from someone else? Why would you allow someone to skip the process you endured, offering you desperation instead of transformation? If they are truly changed, time will reveal it. Real transformation doesn't need to be proven in one dramatic moment. It doesn't rush to convince you. It allows you to watch, to see consistency, to feel trust slowly rebuilt. If they are truly changed, you won't just hear it in their words. You'll see it in their patterns, in how they handle challenges, in how they respect your boundaries. If they are truly changed, you won't have to guess, wonder, or question. The evidence will be undeniable. But if it's desperation, you'll notice it comes with pressure. They'll push you to respond quickly. They'll try to convince you immediately. They'll use grand words, promises, and emotional pleas. And you'll feel rushed, almost guilty, as if you owe them another chance because of the intensity of their feelings. But remember, this intensity is not the same as sincerity. Loud words are not the same as lived-out actions. Tears are not the same as trustworthiness. Desperation is urgent, but transformation is patient. You must protect yourself from mistaking the two. Because your future is too valuable to gamble on someone else's panic. You've come too far to let fear disguised as love pull you back into old cycles. You are not responsible for rescuing someone from the consequences of their avoidance. You are responsible for protecting the peace and progress you've worked so hard to build. This doesn't mean you harden your heart or close yourself off to the possibility of reconciliation. It means you stay wise. You set boundaries. You don't let words alone sway you. You wait for actions that align with growth. You hold on to your discernment and refuse to let your hope blind you to reality. You remind yourself daily desperation is not transformation. The beauty of this truth is that it sets you free. You no longer have to feel guilty for not rushing back when someone suddenly wants you. You no longer have to second guess your decision to move forward. You no longer have to be manipulated by urgency or fear. You can step back, breathe, and watch what unfolds. Because real change doesn't need to be rushed. It proves itself in time. And here's something else you must remember: transformation is not just for them. It's for you. You've already been through it. You've already chosen to grow. Beyond waiting for someone who couldn't show up for you. You've already proven your strength by moving on, by reclaiming your worth, by building a new chapter. Don't diminish your transformation by accepting someone else's desperation. Your healing deserves to be honored. Your growth deserves to be respected. Your future deserves to be protected. So the next time someone makes that final desperate move when they realize you've moved on, pause. Look deeper. Ask yourself, is this fear or is this growth? Is this desperation or is this transformation? And then choose wisely. Because your heart is not a place for panic to find shelter. It is a place for love, growth, peace, and commitment to thrive. You've worked too hard to confuse the two. There comes a point in your life when you realize that everything you've been through wasn't wasted, that every painful night, every unanswered question, every tear that fell had a purpose. It was building something within you that you couldn't see at the time. You were laying a foundation, brick by brick, even while you felt broken. And now, here you are, stronger, wiser, more resilient than you've ever been. That's your foundation. That's the place you've built your life on after all the storms tried to wipe you out. And when someone who once avoided you, neglected you, or took you for granted suddenly shows up with a desperate move to pull you back, you must remember this truth: your foundation is stronger now, and you cannot let their panic shake it. At one point, their absence or indifference could have destroyed you. At one point, their rejection made you question your worth. You waited, you hoped, you bent, and you broke in ways that you thought you would never recover from. But what you didn't see then was that you were being rebuilt. You were learning endurance. You were discovering how to stand without depending on their approval, their presence, or their attention. That was the hardest lesson, but it was also the one that freed you. Because once you realize you can survive without someone who once controlled your emotions, you no longer fear their absence. And that's the power of your foundation. It makes you unshakable in places you used to crumble. So when they come back with tears, promises, and desperation, pause. Because the old you, the one who still lived in the cracks of a fragile foundation, might have rushed back. The old you might have let their words carry more weight than their actions ever did. But not now. Not anymore. You've built a different kind of strength, and that strength doesn't vanish just because someone shows up with intensity. Your foundation is built on growth, and growth doesn't happen overnight. You've learned to wake up and choose yourself, to prioritize peace, to walk away from chaos. That wasn't easy. It was slow, painful, and it often felt like you were climbing uphill with no end in sight. But day by day, choice by choice, you laid the bricks. You stopped answering calls that left you empty. You stopped chasing love that wasn't meeting you halfway. You stopped settling for apologies without change. And in doing that, you built something solid. That's why when they come back, you must protect what you've built. Because your foundation is not just about surviving without them. It's about thriving beyond them. It's about knowing that you are whole, that you are valuable, and that you are capable of creating a life that doesn't depend on their validation. They may try to shake that foundation with emotional pressure. They may try to lure you back into old patterns. They may try to convince you that their desperation is proof of their love. But desperation can't compete with the strength you've built in their absence. Think about how much you've already overcome. You've stood in the fire of disappointment and walked out stronger. You've faced the silence of someone avoiding you and learned to fill it with your own voice. You've carried the weight of unanswered questions and discovered that closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you deciding to move forward anyway. That's resilience. That's strength. That's the kind of foundation no one can take from you unless you hand it over. And that's the test when they return. They will come back because they feel the loss, because they sense the distance, because they realize they no longer have access to the version of you who waited for them. They'll try to rattle your foundation with urgency and promises. But you must remember you've already lived through their inconsistency. You've already survived their absence. You've already proven that you don't need them to stand tall. So why would you let them undo what you've worked so hard to build? Your foundation is stronger now because it's rooted in truth. And the truth is, love is not proven by desperate attempts when someone feels you slipping away. Love is proven in the steady presence, in the quiet choices to show up day after day. Love is proven in respect, in consistency, in growth, and your foundation has given you the clarity to see the difference. You no longer confuse loud words for love. You no longer mistake grand gestures for change. You no longer believe that someone's panic equals commitment. You know better now because you've lived the difference. That doesn't mean it won't be tempting. When someone who once made you feel invisible suddenly fights for you, it stirs something inside you. It touches that part of you that always wanted to be chosen. But here's where your foundation protects you. Because now you can separate desire from discernment. You can acknowledge that it feels good to finally be seen without letting it blind you to the truth. You can feel the pull of their desperation without allowing it to uproot the strength you've cultivated. That's the gift of a solid foundation. It doesn't erase your emotions, but it keeps them from ruling your decisions. You've earned the right to trust yourself now. You've earned the right to believe in the work you've done. You've earned the right to protect your peace, even if it means saying no to someone you once thought you couldn't live without. That's what strength looks like. It's not just standing tall when everything is falling apart. It's standing firm when someone tries to pull you back into a version of yourself you've outgrown. It's refusing to let desperation shake the ground you've built beneath your feet. And here's something important. Your foundation doesn't just protect you from them, it prepares you for what's ahead. Because now you're ready for relationships that match your strength. You're ready for people who don't wait until you're gone to value you. You're ready for connections rooted in consistency, not panic. You're ready for love that feels steady, not dramatic. You're ready for partnerships that add to your foundation instead of trying to tear it down. So don't underestimate how far you've come. Don't let their sudden urgency make you forget the years, months, or weeks it took you to get here. Don't trade your hard-earned foundation for a fleeting promise. Desperation comes and goes, but the strength you've built is permanent. It will carry you forward into places their panic could never take you. It will anchor you when emotions run high. It will remind you that you are no longer the person who waits, begs, or accepts less. You are the person who knows your value, who stands in your worth, who refuses to be shaken. You've laid this foundation with courage, sacrifice, and perseverance. And now, when they make their final desperate move, you don't have to fear it. You don't have to run from it. You don't even have to argue with it. You can simply stand on the strength you've built and know, deep down, that nothing they say or do can undo who you've become. Your foundation is stronger now, and that's why you'll never crumble the way you once did. There's a dangerous trap that so many people fall into when someone who once avoided them, dismissed them, or failed to show up suddenly comes back with regret. The temptation is to believe that their regret somehow validates your worth, that their sudden awareness proves you were enough all along. It feels good, doesn't it? To hear words like, or, I should have valued you more, or, I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. For a moment, it seems like everything you long to hear has finally been spoken. But here is the truth: you must never forget your worth is not defined by their regret. It never was, and it never will be. When someone regrets losing you, that regret belongs to them. It is a reflection of their awareness, not your value. Your worth was intact long before they noticed it. You were enough before they walked away. You were enough when they avoided commitment. You were enough when they left you questioning yourself in silence. Their inability to see your value at the time did not diminish it, just like their sudden realization now does not increase it. Your worth is constant. It is not something that rises and falls with the recognition or lack of recognition from another person. But when someone comes back with tears of regret, it can be incredibly hard to hold on to that truth. Your heart wants to attach your sense of value to their apology. You want to believe that their regret finally means you were lovable, that their sorrow finally means you mattered. And while it may feel validating in the moment, it's dangerous to build your self-worth on someone else's belated recognition. Because if your worth rises when they regret losing you, it can fall again when they stop showing it. You cannot tie your value to the inconsistency of another person's perception. You see, regret is often self-focused. It's not always about you. Many times, regret is about what they lost, not who you are. It's about the comfort you gave, the stability you provided, the love you poured out freely while they gave little in return. When they realize those things are gone, they feel the void. That's where regret comes from. But don't confuse their awareness of absence with an awareness of your essence. Don't mistake their sadness over losing what you offered for a genuine recognition of your worth as a person. Those are two very different things. And this is why you must be rooted in your own understanding of your value. Because when you know your worth, you no longer need their regret to confirm it. You don't need them to tell you that you were valuable. You already know. You don't need them to finally say you were good enough. You already are. You don't need them to apologize for overlooking you. You've already learned how to see yourself clearly without their validation. That's freedom. That's what it means to rise above the cycle of tying your identity to someone else's recognition. Think back to the times when you questioned yourself because of their avoidance. You wondered if you were too much or not enough, or somehow unworthy of the effort you craved from them. That pain was real and it cut deeply. But what you must see now is that their avoidance was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their limitations. People can only meet you at the level of their own emotional maturity, not the level of your value. Their inability to step up did not mean you were lacking. It meant they were unwilling or unable to rise. And now, when they come back with regret, that's their realization, not your definition. Your worth is defined by the fact that you exist, by the love and purpose woven into you, by the strength you've shown in the face of disappointment. Your worth is defined by the courage it took to move on, by the healing you fought for, by the growth you've embraced. Your worth is not up for debate, and it certainly isn't dependent on someone else's awakening. So when they make their desperate move and shower you with regret, let it be what it is, their realization, their sorrow, their loss. But don't let it cloud your clarity. Don't let it trick you into thinking you need their regret to finally feel valuable. Don't hand over the power to define your identity to someone who couldn't see it before. Because if you do, you'll always be waiting on someone else's recognition to feel whole. And you've already proven you don't need that. You've already proven that you can stand, move forward, and thrive without it. Regret can sound powerful, but it is often empty if it's not backed by change. And even if it is sincere, it doesn't change the fact that your worth was never absent in the first place. You don't become valuable because someone finally notices. You are valuable because you are. You don't become enough because they wake up to it. You are enough because you always have been. Their regret simply catches up to a reality that existed long before they realized it. This is where so many people slip. They hear regret and confuse it for redemption. They hear apologies and assume it means healing. But regret without action is just noise. And even when it's real, it doesn't define you. It belongs to them. If they truly regret losing you, let them carry that. It's not your burden to heal, and it's not your job to fix. It is theirs to face, theirs to learn from, and theirs to grow through. You don't have to make their regret mean something about your worth. You can let it mean something about their journey while you continue forward on yours. When you detach your worth from their regret, you step into a new kind of strength. You stop seeking validation in someone else's awakening. You stop needing their apology to feel whole. You stop measuring your value by the way someone else sees you. And instead, you stand in the confidence of knowing you were always valuable, even when they couldn't see it. You were always enough, even when they acted like you weren't. You were always worthy, even when their avoidance made you question it. And the most powerful thing is this: when you know your worth apart from their regret, you no longer feel pulled back when they finally notice. You can hear their words without attaching your identity to them. You can feel their sorrow without letting it dictate your choices. You can see their desperation for what it is, an attempt to soothe their own loss, without letting it rewrite your story. That's the freedom of owning your worth. That's the strength of knowing you're defined by something far deeper than their recognition. So don't let their regret become your measure. Don't let their awakening become the scale on which you weigh yourself. Don't let their panic become the confirmation of what you always long to hear. Because the truth is, you've already proven your worth by how you've carried yourself through the pain, by how you've rebuilt when they were absent, by how you've grown when they weren't capable of standing with you. That is the evidence of your value, not their regret. Their regret is their story. Your worth is yours. And when you stand firm in that truth, no desperate move, no apology, no sudden awareness can ever shake the foundation of who you are. There comes a moment in life when you realize that turning back would cost you more than moving ahead ever could. You've walked through fire, you've endured heartbreak, you've wrestled with the confusion of silence and avoidance, and now you've made progress. You've healed wounds that once felt unbearable, and you've built a life that reflects strength instead of desperation. That is why, when someone suddenly shows up with panic in their eyes and regret in their voice, begging you to look back, you must remind yourself of one simple truth. Keep moving forward. Forward is the direction of growth. Forward is where your healing has led you. Forward is where the peace you've built now resides. Looking back may feel tempting. It may feel comforting for a moment, because it touches that place in your heart that once longed to be chosen. But what you must see clearly is that going back means undoing the very progress you fought so hard to achieve. Every step you've taken away from what broke you has been a step toward freedom. And freedom is not something you give away just because someone realized too late what they lost. When they come back, they'll pull on your emotions. They'll remind you of the history of the moments you shared, of the love that once burned brightly. They'll play on your compassion, your loyalty, and the part of you that always wanted to believe in their potential. But forward is not about potential. Forward is about reality. And the reality is that you've grown, you've matured, and you've proven that you can live without waiting on someone else to change. You are not who you were when they left, and you cannot shrink yourself to fit back into that old chapter just because they've suddenly decided they want to rewrite it. Think about what moving forward has cost you. You've cried yourself to sleep and then gotten up the next day anyway. You've faced mornings where the ache was heavy, but you still chose to keep going. You've rebuilt your identity from the ground up when it felt shattered into pieces. You've invested in yourself, in your growth, in your healing, and in your peace. You've chosen to set boundaries, to walk away from toxicity, to honor your worth. That is not easy work. That is work most people will never see or understand. But you know the price you paid to get here, and you know the strength it took to keep walking when it would have been easier to go back. That's why you can't afford to stop now. Moving forward is not just about leaving someone behind. It's about refusing to abandon yourself. Because every time you choose yourself, every time you honor your worth, every time you protect your peace, you are building a life that aligns with who you are meant to be. When you keep moving forward, you prove to yourself that your future matters more than your past, that your healing matters more than their regret, that your growth matters more than their desperation. You show yourself that your story doesn't end where someone else stopped showing up. It continues, and it gets better because you kept going. Of course, forward doesn't always feel easy. There are days when nostalgia whispers in your ear, when you remember the good moments and wonder if maybe this time things could be different. There are days when loneliness tries to convince you that looking back would fill the void. And there are days when their sudden attention feels like the validation you always wanted. But forward is not built on nostalgia, loneliness, or validation. Forward is built on truth. And the truth is, if they were capable of giving you what you needed, they would have done it when it mattered, not only after you left. You can't let temporary emotions pull you back into permanent patterns. You can't let a desperate move distract you from the steady progress you've made. You can't let their panic become your compass. Because desperation may look like love in the moment, but it's not the foundation of a healthy future. Your foundation now is stronger, clearer, and more grounded. You don't need to revisit the past to find what you're looking for. What you're looking for is ahead of you. Forward means you're open to relationships that match your growth. Forward means you're creating a life of peace, joy, and stability. Forward means you're no longer settling for less than what you deserve. And every step you take in that direction reinforces the truth that you don't need to be pulled back by someone else's fear. You don't need to pause your life just because they finally noticed what they lost. You don't need to revisit a chapter you've already closed just to comfort their regret. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not answer, not go back, not give in to the pull of familiarity. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is hold your ground and keep walking, even when your heart aches, even when your mind questions, even when your emotions try to betray your progress. Courage is not the absence of those feelings. It's moving forward in spite of them. And that's what you're called to do now. You've already proven you can survive without them. You've already proven that their absence did not destroy you. You've already proven that you can build joy, peace, and strengthen their silence. So why would you doubt now that you can keep moving forward? Why would you believe the lie that you need their presence to validate your future when you've already proven your future doesn't depend on them? Keep moving forward because the best parts of your life haven't even happened yet. Keep moving forward because love that is steady, patient, and true is waiting for someone as strong as you. Keep moving forward because peace that surpasses the chaos of your past is already growing in your present. Keep moving forward because the version of yourself you're becoming deserves a future that isn't tied to desperation, but built on consistency. And let me remind you of this: moving forward doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean the memories vanish. It doesn't mean you're cold or unfeeling. Moving forward means you've chosen wisdom over wishful thinking. It means you've chosen truth over temporary emotion. It means you've chosen to honor the work you've done rather than let someone else's panic undo it. It means you've decided that your future is worth more than their last-minute effort. So when they come with their desperate move, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of everything you've survived. Remember the nights you thought you wouldn't make it and the mornings you rose anyway. Recall the progress you've made and the strength you've discovered. Let those memories ground you in truth. And then keep going. Don't stop for panic. Don't pause for regret. Don't trade the road ahead for the road behind. You are too